did it. Can you guys hear me? Oh, what's up, fellas and ladies? Holy shit. That shit just jumped up the... Mike's good. Beautiful, you've seen this for 5 hours now? I don't think so. It just took me like 20 minutes to get it figured out. Alright. Play Infinite Warfare? Hell yeah, dude. Let's get it. No ladies here? You never know. My wife might be watching. What are my thoughts on the Banished coming to Infinite? I think that would be pretty interesting. I thought in Halo Wars 2 they were definitely the most interesting villain that 343's ever come up with, like way more interesting than the Prometheans. It'd be cool to fight, you know, some brutes again, obviously. So I'm definitely okay with it. I'm excited. Hey, what's up, man? Yeah, I don't think the notification goes out until I officially start, so that's probably why the view count was so low. My wife is doing good. She is 7 months preggers, so she's kind of hitting that stage where she's getting a little close to being bedridden, but she's good. Is my wife's boyfriend watching? I don't know. Me and him have a great relationship because he doesn't exist, and that's why I like him so much. Elgato? Man, I have an old Elgato. It's like a Game Capture HD. So, I'm going to try and talk. So, just like, you know, obviously the people who show up late, they're not going to know this. But, obviously, I'm going to try and talk and answer questions more than I am going to be paying attention to the game. So, that means it's going to be really bad. It's going to be bad. But we're going to see how it goes. I'm just going to hop straight into competitive, because I'm sure I'll be good. I've played Halo 3 on PC, like the multiplayer side, maybe like 40 minutes. So I'm definitely not used to the mouse and keyboard yet. But we will see. I am going to have a boy. My wife and I are going to have a boy. I wanted to name him Sergeant Johnson, but my wife ixnayed that pretty quickly. Am I hyped for the campaign gameplay? Yeah, I am. And if you've watched my stuff, I think you'll kind of know where I stand on Halo Infinite. I'm pretty sure it's, you know, I've said, hey, I think it's probably going to follow in the footsteps of Halo 5. You know, I would be shocked if it was a classic Halo. And I've never ever thought it was going to. Although, hey, you know, classic art style, maybe they're gonna, you know, maybe they will go that direction. We'll see. But I think even if it goes a more modern route, or it goes the Halo 5 route, which I predicted like 3 years ago, I could still enjoy the campaign. Like, I hope they turn the story around, because I always liked the story, always enjoyed the story, but haven't really been a big fan of 343's stories, even 4, which everybody seems to like. Oh man, this stream is not running my game very good. But yeah, I'm hopeful that the campaign at least is something I can enjoy. Alright, I'm I cannot wait to disappoint you guys with my piss poor Halo 3 PC gameplay. And it's not. I don't know if it's running very good for you guys, but let me know. Hey, Joe Cat, I really appreciate the $10, man. And as I was running into that wall, reading that's a nice gesture. I appreciate it. Nice to be back. I am working on stuff still. I don't want you guys to think I'm just like sitting on my ass. I am working on some stuff. Ooh, that wasn't good. Alright, well, I'm lagging up an absolute shitstorm. Yikes. Yo, is this stream even like... Is this even like watchable right now? In-game music sound effects are a bit loud. Yeah. Let me change that. Put it down like 30. Hopefully that's better for you. Let's see. Never heard me talk about it, but what do you think about a mythic arena direction? Cap it at 60 FPS. I'll answer that question in a second. Let me get right on that thing as I figure out the damn. Only 90 field of view. What are you doing? Ah! Yeah, I know. Frame rate limit. I already have it capped at 60. It's still running like ass. Stream's totally watchable. Okay, that's cool. Gotcha. Okay, so the Mythic playlist. So when it came out, here's the thing. I really don't like classic playlists that much. I rarely ever play them. I do not care. Which is weird because they're like made for people like me. But I usually don't care. I did try Mythic. I was actually I think I was talking to like Shyway or someone like that. And we were playing Halo 5. I think to have mercy on me, we played Mythic for a little bit, and that was my first time really playing it. And I didn't hate it. I will say that. And I've actually talked with some of the developers who made it. They've reached out to me and kind of explained some of the decisions they made. And I do think it's interesting. Basically, the thing is with all the weapons designed the way they are, when you consider, like, hey, all the weapons are designed for all this heavy mobility, you know, like, they have quite a bit of, you know, magnetism, you know, stuff like that. The way they did the thruster is, in a way, kind of like a companion to your strafe. So... yeah, and I'm barely paying attention to the game, but it's more like a companion to your strafe than it is like a movement ability, which it kind of is in Halo 5. It's more about, you know, so you can kind of bob back and forth, and then all of a sudden, like, you just bob a little quicker. So that's kind of what they described it to me as. Like, that's kind of how they intended it to be, and I thought it was fine. I didn't really, if I recall correctly, it had like stabilizer, and that's just like the most milquetoast kind of lame ability 343 came up with. Just really not a fan of that. I understand you can use it for some techie stuff, but I thought it was fine. I'm really not in the mood for playing something that tries to emulate the old gameplay. And what I mean by that is, like, when I talk about a classic Halo and what I want from that, I literally want a new game. I don't want to play an old game. I don't want to play, you know, a format just like, oh, it's trying to kind of, you know, recreate that old experience. I just want to use that formula and kind of not modernize it, but just like expand upon it. Like I think there's more you can do with it than just doing the same old stuff over and over again. Like, oh, you know, it's Lockout. Lockout's in the classic playlist. Amazing. Like, I do not care. I do not care about Lockout. I don't care about playing Lockout again. It's never been about that. Please forgive me for the shitty gameplay. I'm focusing more on the question. god, I suck. Oh, man. Leaks talking about classic-styled arena playlists. I've honestly never even heard that. I'm reading a question. Favyn, I've been thinking about balancing the BR in a theoretical classic Halo. I think that projectile is the way to go on it, but random spread is eh. What if bullets lost velocity over distance? The great Ranchero. So here's the thing. I think you already had a pretty good BR before you added the loss of bullet velocity. Like, I think if you have a projectile weapon with a consistent and predictable projectile speed without random spread, I think there you go. Like, that's the BR. I think that's what it should be. I agree with you. I think it should be a projectile weapon, especially if it's classic Halo, where gun skill is a lot more important. But the spread, especially in this game, like, it just dookies all over this game. Like, the fact that this game is as good as it is, and I enjoy it so much, despite the most important gun being just an absolute disaster, is a testament to kind of everything else it does right. But yeah, a consistent spread or a really condensed, like really, really compact spread with a projectile BR with travel time that you had to lead, which kind of, you know, helps you for big team battle. I think you're good. I think you're good on that. I don't even think you need to, like, reduce bullet velocity. In fact, I think it's better if it has a consistent bullet velocity, right? Because then it's just like, okay, well, if they're this way, then you can actually kind of gauge how far you need to lead your shots, which is more of a skill element. Which BR was not projectile, Hazop asked? That would be the Halo 2 BR, and basically everything but the Halo 3 BR. Oh my god, I suck. Yes, I will. Michael Vianney asks if I'm going to have a video on Infinite after the reveal, and I will absolutely be breaking that down for you guys, kind of like I have for the rest of the trailers. Only now we're actually going to get to see gameplay, and that's more my wheelhouse. So I'm more of a gameplay design guy, so I am excited to talk about that. I'm going to switch to social just because I'm in ranked, and I could not be paying less attention. Alright, watch this. Everybody thinks the assault rifle's bad in this game. Let me show you something. Look at me. Look at that. That was all me right there. 4 kills, carrying my team. So here's the thing about when I say, you know, the Halo 2 BR's not projectile. Technically, Bungie kind of achieved its hit scan and projectile stuff a little bit differently. I think technically, if you go into the code, Halo 2 is a projectile BR, but it's just like instant transmission bullets. They basically just fly their maximum distance in a single tick. So functionally, it behaves like a hit scan BR, and I don't want to get into the semantics every time I talk about it, but there is a little bit of a discrepancy there. And I've even heard that the Halo 3 BR, oh, it's not projectile based, it's delayed hit scan. Like, people get into semantics about it, but functionally, Halo 1 and 3 are projectile. Everything else is hit scan. Halo with wall running, let's go. I hope not. What's up, Vibe Lord? Fraudy, thank you, yes. I'm not sure if I explained that before that comment came in, but why not play social grab bag? Okay, that's a good idea. Oh no! Am I locked in? I'm locked in again. God damn it. Sorry, teammates. People say the assault rifle's bad. They're like, oh, it doesn't compete with the BR. Do you have any ideas, quality of life stuff, or main menus? Halo 5's early menu looks so much better than what we got, and it got me thinking about it. So my... Oh. I think it just has to warm up every little bit since I'm streaming. Let me see if I can get at least one snipe for you guys. Oh, missed my chance. Don't worry, I got a no-scope coming. And I missed it. I mean, I really hate Halo 5's UI, personally. I think Actman made a video about that a long time ago, one of the first videos I saw about him. But yeah, I really prefer classic Halo's real simple, sleek UI. 343's, I don't know, and like I don't mean this, like this is just what it reminds me of. Like Halo 5's UI and Halo 4's UI, they just remind me of like you know how like Chinese studios rip off Blizzard games. Like that's the sense that is invoked within me. Like when I see that, I'm just like, man, this is like one of those kind of Chinese knockoff games that you see like on like the mobile Overwatches of the world, and like that's just kind of the vibe I get. But yeah, I much prefer just kind of like the simple, elegant, sleek design of the classic games. Let me see. Let me see. What do I think of a grappling hook in Halo? Yeah. I have no idea how that would work. I have no idea. You know, like, I've seen tons of leaks, right? Like, obviously, I'm in the Halo community. Basically, everything that's allegedly leak, I've seen it. I'm not going to believe anything until I see it. I'm not going to comment on anything until I see it. And I'm going to see it in 2 days, so I'm not too worried about it. I think that nade got him. Oh, okay. Fuck me. What's up, Sketch? By the way, I think this is like my most popular stream ever, which I'm pretty happy about, considering I haven't uploaded in like 2 months. And just so you guys know, I am working on content. Man, I am just really bad with the mouse. Did Chris? I don't think so. 117 viewers. Mario mushrooms in the game, huh? Yeah, I'm gonna go to grab bag after this. I'm gonna... Hey, what's up, Marshall Malcup? I'm just embarrassing myself in Halo 3 because I'm only looking at the screen half the time, and I'm absolutely god-awful on PC. Yeah, I am working on what's turning out to be a pretty big video. I actually had 5 pages of it down, and I reread it, and I'm like, this is just awful. So that's scrapped. But we're restarting, and I've got a better outline going. And I'm definitely going to talk about whatever is shown for Infinite beforehand. Because, like, you know, it makes no sense to, like, talk about Halo design and stuff. I'd rather have a little bit of a... Got him! I'd rather have, you know for sure, like, hey, maybe I can change whatever I'm talking about depending on how this thing goes. Is there any make or break things about Infinite for you? You guys want me to shoot that guy or something? Damn. I will probably do a video on Halo Reach. Any make or break Infinite things. I think I just got sniped, but yeah, I mean, obviously, like I'm standing by what I've always said. Like, you know, I want a classic Halo. That's the type of Halo that I'm interested in playing. And you know, I'll probably enjoy the campaign. You know, hope 343 turns that around. But that's probably what I'll be interested in. If not, then you know, it's kind of gonna probably be like what 4 and 5 have been for me. Just not all that interested. I'll still make content. You know, I'll still talk about it because I think Halo's got a lot of potential. But I'm not gonna like all of a sudden be like, oh, you know, this game flies against all of the principles you've spent 5 years, you know, preaching about, and you love it anyway. Like that's probably not gonna happen. Not gonna rule it out. I'll give it a fair shake, a good old country try. But yeah, if I don't like it, I'll let you guys know I don't like it, and we'll see what happens. On a scale of 1 to 10, How entertained are you by this footage? I lost that. Is it possible 343 could redeem themselves with Infinite? Well, I guess that depends on if you think they've made bad games. And yeah, I mean, if so, it's always possible. Like, they could make the best game ever. Who knows? Is everybody that much better than me? Are these kids that good? Or am I just that bad? Like, look at these freaking strafes. Look at these guys. Jeez. 11 out of 10. I appreciate that. Blazing Wrath says, I either want classic or a hybrid. See, I'd rather have a full-on modern Call of Duty Halo than a hybrid that tries to skirt this middle ground and just absolutely fails on all fronts. You can't have a hybrid. Like, it's literally like, are you a classic, very modular, simple Halo, or do you have modern abilities? Like, there is no middle ground. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, well, you only have a few abilities. It's like, okay. Like, you still run into all of those problems, and I just don't think classic fans are going to like it unless it truly embraces a classic design. Because here's the thing about the classic design. It's not just the gameplay, right? The gameplay is just the glue that connects all of the pieces that you can build around it. But you can't build around it fully unless you embrace that classic simple modularity. So there really is, in my mind, no middle ground. And I know people don't like that. I know we'd rather sing Kumbaya and be like, oh, you know, it's a hybrid. Like, everybody can like this. I don't think it's going to work. I literally think you have a better chance of pissing everybody off and leaving nobody satisfied than you do of somehow magically making it so every single person in the world likes it. That's not going to happen. It's unrealistic. It's just game design doesn't do that. You gotta commit to something. You have to have a vision, and you have to go for it, right? Dark Souls didn't compromise its design. It didn't say, well, you know, we're this, but what about like the Skyrim player? What about the people who just want to fucking go around there and just be super all-powerful? It's like, no, it's like, hey, we're a challenging game. We're going to kick your ass, and if you like it, great. And we hope you stick around. Like, there was no compromise in that design. You see what I'm saying? So Woods Beetle says, as a middle ground, maybe make enhanced mobility spin-offs that aren't the main trilogy, like ODST and Wars. And like, see, I'd be fine with that. I'd be fine with a classic spin-off. I think the universe is big enough for both styles, especially if, you know, if Infinite takes 5 years, would it really have been just like this horrible, detrimental thing to the community if another studio or somebody made a classic Halo project or an enhanced mobility Halo project that was in between that? Like, if you waited 2.5 years per Halo game, and I understand it's hundreds of millions of dollars to make a game. It's hundreds of individuals and people, like the most talented people in the world, coming together to make a AAA video game. I don't want to make it sound like it's easy, like, oh, just make a fucking make another AAA video game. It's no problem. But there are franchises that have, you know, rotational teams, and I would definitely like to see an attempt. You know what I mean? Just like, hey, enough people are interested in this, give it a try. Have I seen Chris Raygun's sprint video? Absolutely. I actually talked to him after he released that. Told him he did a great job. Billy the Catfish, hire this man, 343. I'm begging you. We'll see. We'll see. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I would love to work on it someday. I am not in a position to where I could have any say whatsoever. But I would love to get in there, maybe on a community role is probably what I'd try and do first, and just learn and grow. And yeah, I definitely want to make games. That's the end goal. Oh, what's up, Ubernick? Dun, 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 dun. Been watching you and Green Skull play a little bit. Always a good time. I think I saw a clip of you. I'm pretty sure it was you and Green Skull of just like body slamming each other with that new skull, and I thought that was like the funniest thing I'd ever seen. That's a really cool idea. Like if you think about it, like that's really cool that almost 15 years later you get like actual new content for Halo 3, even though it's like just a small thing. Like it's just I love stuff like that. Rudolph Claus says, is YouTube your full-time job or just a hobby? It is definitely just a hobby. I do not even make enough money off of this to pay my gas bill. Yeah, I still love it, and to me it's an opportunity. I'm not really in this to be a YouTuber. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm trying to grow, try and make connections. If YouTube works out, that'd be cool. That'd be a cool job, but I'd rather make games than talk about games, I think. The Great Ranchero, another good question from him. He says, in what ways would you innovate Halo 3's equipment system? I really like that question, because I praise Halo 3's equipment system not because it is good, but because it is unintrusive. To me, it is something that Bungie did where they're like, hey, we have introduced new mechanics in a new way, and it is unintrusive to the Halo formula. And here's the thing, 90% of all equipment in Halo 3 sucked. Like, it absolutely sucked. Just like, we got to get rid of this shit. It is awful. But the fact that the way they implemented it made it so it didn't damage the game, and then you could really pick and choose like the couple good abilities. Like, hey, the bubble shield people really like, you could use that. The trip mine's pretty fun, we can use that. The grav lift, put that on high ground, and you could use really dynamic. You could use it a bunch of different ways. There was like a couple golden nuggets. So really, it's just like, okay, we'll take the Halo 3 equipment, and then just add equipment that's actually good. And another thing I would do is I would make it interactable with more of the sandbox instead of it being more static. Like an example, when you throw a bubble shield down, it's more of a standoff. It's like, hey, there's not a lot of interactions you can use with it aside from maybe throwing a grav lift underneath it. Interact with more of the sandbox. Like, what if you EMP'd it with a plasma pistol? Maybe you knocked out a couple of the hexagons or whatever, and then you could shoot in and out. That way you could add counters, but also strategies that you could implement. Like, maybe you want to blow a hole in your own bubble shield and shoot out of it. And that's just like an off-the-cuff example, but if you made the equipment pieces individually better and you incorporated it to where it had more functionality and interactions with the surrounding sandbox, well, to me, there's a lot of potential there. And the great thing about equipment is it wasn't like this thing where, hey, I picked it up and now I use it and it's my thing. You threw it out there and it was just a neutral interaction. It was just a neutral thing that affected every player equally. The only advantage the user had is that they dictated where and when it was used. But as far as its functionality, it affected both sides equally. So it was really just a neutral sandbox interaction. And if you really build around that, you could make some really cool stuff. So I hope that was a good answer. Is this stream going to be deleted? Probably. I don't like to clutter my video feed with like streams. I prefer that to be more focused. Sorry if that disappoints you. Let's take a look. Cody Suter says, how do you want microtransactions to be implemented? I've talked about this a lot. I would probably, instead of like rambling on for a solid 20 to 30 minutes, I made a video called How to Rebuild the Halo Community, where I talk a lot about microtransactions and kind of like their influence. So that would kind of probably tip you off a little bit on the direction I'd go there. Martian Mall Cop says I could do yeah. So I mean I could. I don't really stream enough, and I'm not really big enough yet. I kind of want to just focus on building the main channel first. I mean maybe if I take off and I stream more and I do this more, I might do that. If I did this full time, I'd stream all the time, right? If I had all the time in the world, I would probably stream. Like if I did this for a living, I'd probably stream almost every day, because I just use it to collect footage at the same time. But I'm not. I don't do that, and I don't have as much time as I'd want to. But I do want to pop in every now and then. I have 153 people watching, and I know that's not a lot, but that is probably the most I've ever had, which is cool, because like I said, I haven't been here in a while. Hey, what's up, Simo? Good to see a patron in here. Blue Shadow says, do I prefer DLC or microtransactions? I prefer DLC. And that's controversial nowadays because of the whole, it splits the community. Yeah, I'm just gonna pop in a campaign. It splits the community, but in my opinion, DLC that is extra content, like that's perfectly. What's the word I'm like? That's like perfectly moral, right? Like to sell that, like. There's no problem, like, hey, this is extra content for a complete game that you bought, and it has a monetary value, and it's totally fair to expect that to be sold for money. I prefer that, but I also understand. I understand the argument to not split communities, so there's got to be another way. Thanks, Brian. Let's skip. Which game do I think has the best customization? Probably the best customization in regards to just pure, like just variety and options would probably be Reach, but my favorite method of earning cosmetics is in Halo 3.
Priority 1. Secure a landing zone for the commander's frigate. Keep your eyes and ears open. We need all the intel we can get. Wherever the hell we are. Stand to, Marines. Hoorah! Go, go, go!
Okay. Obligatory sniper mission.
Check it out, in the sky. Is that...
Hey, focus. We got a job to do.
Almost walked right off the edge.
Chief, eyes on.
Okay. Yeah, I'm playing on like normal, so I'm not too worried about it. Oh yeah, there we go. Every time I kill someone, my game just shits itself. See, look at that. That's why I was doing so bad earlier. Not because I'm bad, but because obviously I'm dealing with a suboptimal setup. Look at that, son of a bitch. How good I am at Halo. I talk about Halo, then I suck at it. What a scrub. I have no right, huh? Oh my. Alright. Let's see if I can get a question here. John the Icon, I'm doing good. I think I have a 980, Jason. Like I'm not a big PC guy. I don't have the best setup. Again, if I was doing this for a living and I had infinite monies, I would just have the best everything. But I do not, unfortunately, and I do have to make some concessions. My wife usually doesn't give me a hard time when I buy games and stuff, but if I just went completely overboard with it and I'm like, hey, you know, I just bought whatever the best expensive graphics card is, and I have a $12,000 computer, she might get mad at me.
Setting up an AA battery. That thing will tear the dawn apart.
Look at this. What?
It's a phantom!
Watch this stick. Watch this stick.
Advance!
Way not far enough. Here we go.
I got him! He's here! I'm coming!
Good old Mexican standoff. God! Yeah, look at that fucking AI. It knew it wasn't safe and it moved. Fucking Bungie. Fucking Bungie. Will I ever do podcasts? Maybe. So those don't do a lot to like grow the channel. I like doing them. I like getting together with everybody. But it doesn't grow the channel a lot. And if I'm working on YouTube and I'm using the spare time to work on YouTube, I'm trying to make content, right? Like right now, I had a couple hours and I'm like, I haven't streamed in a while. Got that Xbox showcase coming up in a couple days. Might as well give that a shot. Get the whole stream out. Give me a second here. Alright. Oh, look at that. Just horrible flick. It's normal. I'm sure I'll be fine. It's normal. It's normal. Ah! I think that's what it's actually called. Mall Cop. I think that's what it's actually called. I played the first Red Dead Redemption. They had a game mode called Mexican Standoff, and so that's what I've always called it. That is a really obscure reference. I don't know if anyone ever. I'm sure they did. Maybe not that game, but You're shitting me. Got him. Do I play any games competitively? Not really. I mean, like, here's the thing, like, what do you mean by competitive? Like, because people say, like, casual versus competitive. I'm not a casual fan. Like clearly I'm pretty passionate, but I don't play like esports. Like I'm not like a god. Like I'm not good at the games. I think competitive games are good, you know, because I think they tend to have more integrity, and I think games designed that way just tend to be more fun, honestly. Even as like someone who's not competitive, I think games catered towards the competitive side tend to be a little more fun. But no, I wouldn't say I take any game like competitively to the point where I'm competing for tournaments and I want to be the very best. Closest would be Siege, where it's like, hey, I'm a mid-plat player, and you know, I want to win, and you know, I play ranked to win, and I'm like, you know, I get a squad together. If that's competitive, then yeah, I play a couple games competitively. But if you're talking about like, hey, I'm trying to be the very best that ever was,
Find me a place to set her down.
no.
Over.
Bam! You don't have what it takes. Hoorah!
Esports is a better term. Yeah, esports is just like, yo, I play competitive to the point where I'm trying to make money. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm like competitive oriented. Like, yeah, I guess. Isn't there a terminal here? Yeah, I don't care. But no, I ain't trying to make no money. Ain't good enough to make money. And I don't want to play one game long enough to get good. Like, I'd rather play more games than be like the very best at one game.
Flak got our Pelican too, sir. But before we went down, we spotted a good LZ. If we can get to our vehicles, we'll lead you to it.
I did play ESO a little bit, but wasn't a big fan. Let's see. How many times have I completed the Halo 3 campaign? I can't even count. I've played Halo 3 so many times. I suck. Halo 5 focuses on a lot of competitiveness and can be really frustrating and inaccessible to a lower level player like myself. Halo 3 can be fun, let's scroll down, even if you are 0 and 80, but I don't feel like Halo 5 works like that. That's Lucas Souza. So here's the thing about that, Lucas. Skill is not on a linear gradient. Like when you're talking about a skill gap, it is not linear. It's not just like, does this game take a lot of skill? There are two sides to it, right? There's the skill ceiling, which is like how far can I take this game? And then there's the skill floor. And the skill floor is, hey, how much do I need to know before I can hop in and be competent or enjoy myself, but mainly just be competent. And I think when you look at classic Halo, they had a pretty high skill ceiling, but they had a really low skill floor. Very simple, really accessible mechanics. Most people can hop in and have a pretty good time. Now, Halo 5, I actually do think has a pretty high skill ceiling. I'm not going to, like, shit on it. I think it has a pretty high skill ceiling. It's got a lot of shit, but it also has a really high skill floor. It's got a lot of mechanics. It's got a lot of stuff you need to know before you become proficient at it. So that's more the problem I think you're running into. It has that pretty large skill gap, but it also has a pretty high skill floor where it's just like, man, you got to know a lot of shit. And if you step away from the game and you pop back in, you're just going to get your cheeks absolutely clapped because everybody's used to it. And there's like 100 different mechanics you got to kind of reorient yourself around when you pop back in. At least that's my take on it. Phil asks, Philimanjaro, how would you dead-ass react if they announced Thursday that sprint will be removed from all aspects of the game? Like, you can't even turn it on in customs, it's just full-on gone. If they did that, I would be, obviously, I'm like, okay, well, we're going in the right direction here. But it's really important that you seize the opportunity. Like, that doesn't mean the game's going to be good. Right? It's like, okay, that means you got a lot of responsibility now to make sure your weapon design is up to par. Your sandbox has to be up to par. Your map design has to be phenomenal. Like, if you go that route where you have a simple modular game that allows you to build a really compelling game around your mechanics, then you need to make sure that the game around your mechanics is actually compelling. So there's more to it than just removing things. It's like, okay, we've removed them, now we have to actually build the game, if that makes sense. Did I get the guy behind him? Got him. Alright, let me go get this, That wasn't too bad. Like, that was satisfying.
Mount up. Let's find that LZ.
Affirmative.
Follow us, sir. All the way down this canyon.
Let's take a look.
Seraph's on my 6.
Understood. Engage those Seraphs. Let the elite handle the cruisers.
Full shields. Ramming speed.
Oh yeah, it's normal. As you can see, I'm not I'm trying to read the comments here.
Flash one coming about.
There's a little bit of a screen delay, or a stream delay, so when I'm looking at the comments,
I'm in.
I'm not exactly reading them right away.
Watch your fire. Watch your fire.
There's a theory that we're going to be playing as a Marine instead of the Master Chief in Infinite. I've never heard of that, and I would be just floored if they just, like, freaking Last of Us 2'd, where they're just like, oh man, you know, after Halo 5 we did play as the Chief, and now we're showing off the Chief, and he's got his sexy armor back, but fuck you, we're playing as a Marine, ODST 2, baby, Halo Marine. I just don't believe that. I couldn't imagine the balls 343 would have to have. The absolute balls. To me, that doesn't even sound like a rumor. That just sounds like some bullshit. That just sounds like some bullshit. Absolutely, you do play as Abby in Halo Infinite. She beats the shit out of Chief with a frickin' the golf club from Halo 3 Forge, and then you play as her for the rest of the game. And then what you do is you build this relationship with her dog that you later kill as Locke later on in the campaign. And it's like really emotional because it's like, wow, like people really liked that fucking dog. You know what I'm talking about? I'm gonna steal that ghost. I haven't played this in a while. This mission in particular. Oh, I want that instead. Give me a second. Oh shit! I did not think I would die if I hit it from that angle.
Root chopper! Look out! There's more!
Wait, I'm in this now? This is one of the coolest vehicles Halo's ever had. I would be happy to see this guy return. Even though I'm not making it look good. It's just got such great handling. It's such a cool concept. It feels good. Like, what a great addition. I always thought it was crazy that like when Halo 3 like really went hardcore on the brutes and they introduced kind of their tech and their style and their art style and technology. Like I always thought it was such like a great fit. Like it just really fit the universe. Like it was super like high tech and crazy, but it felt gritty and grounded, which I always prefer over like the freaking space opera Halo 4 style. Let me read a comment. Oh, thanks, Rob. Appreciate that. Let's see. Do I think they'll have new vehicles? Like, probably. Like, who knows? I think they've added at least one every time, right? I think they've added at least one every time. What do I think about Halo CE Melee? So, for those who don't know about that, like CE, like the weight of the weapon would actually contribute to how much damage it did. And it also was like slightly momentum based. So instead of like the lunge that most Halo games do, like it's definitely less forgiving, harder to do, more weapon dependent. So it had a lot more depth to it, and I know the CE kids really like it. So I'd be okay with it. I think it would be a little bit of an adjustment considering how ingrained like the lunge distance is. But I would be okay with it. The new vehicle in 4 was the Mantis. Hey, Simo, really appreciate the $10. Am I gonna get a 120 hertz monitor when the Series X is launched? I mean, I'm probably gonna play it on my TV, and my TV's pretty good. I'm probably just gonna play it on my TV. Probably not gonna get a monitor. I got a pretty recently purchased 4K TV. It's an LG, and I'm happy with it. The Great Ranchero says, in what ways do you like 343's games? I like how the Knights in Halo 5 have a health system we haven't really seen before in a Halo game. So Halo 5, I really liked Forge. I think Forge was interesting. I do hope they consider the more casual aspect of Forge, where you're just going in and throwing objects at your friends. There is a little something that's lost in Halo 5, but as far as what you can make in Forge, Halo 5 probably has, I mean, it doesn't probably, it has the best Forge. I liked that they added the custom game browser. I think that's a good addition for Halo. I'd like to see that come back. Halo 4, I don't like the Prometheans. I don't like them aesthetically. I don't like their sandbox. But conceptually, I like the idea like of the Watcher and kind of how it has these various interactions, how it like, you know, it flies out of the Knight's back and then it can create shields for it and it can throw grenades back. I like interactions with, I like enemies interacting with other enemies in creative ways, if that makes sense. I like that concept. I want that to be expanded further. So I hope that's sufficient enough. Dun, 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 dun. Sticky Detonator, Flawless Cowboy says Mantis and Sticky Detonator great, maybe only good things. Stances are cool too. So the Sticky Detonator, what I would do is instead of having it be its own gun, I'd bring back the Reach Grenade Launcher because I think it's just a more interesting gun, personally. Since it's a one in the chamber type of weapon, the reload function is unused. So I would attach the Sticky Detonator functionality to the Reach Grenade Launcher and alternating between the bouncing EMP projectile and the sticky projectile with the reload function is how I would re-implement that, condense everything, consolidate, eliminate as much redundancy as possible, while also making maybe the two coolest guns added to Halo and Reach and 4 respectively into the same gun, and that way you just have both of them in the same game. That's how I do it. Let me know if you guys like that idea. I'm going to talk about that in a new video, which is why that idea was fresh in my head. The pro pipe indeed. What do I think the biggest mistakes Bungie made? Bungie, I really kind of feel like the Bungie games were only good on accident. So the thing is, like, they made mistakes and they did things wrong and they fucked a lot of shit up, but it's just kind of like, you know what? Got lucky. They got lucky. People really like it. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff I wouldn't do. Like I don't think bringing Bungie back would help. I don't know how to say this. They stumbled onto a lot of really good ideas, but I don't know how many of those ideas they fully built around and really embraced. So I would like those ideas to be embraced, basically, like the utility weapon concept. Like, hey, they stumbled into that. It rose to the forefront every single time, and they still constantly tried to build around like a really shitty automatic weapon. I don't like that idea. Just embrace what people really enjoy. You know what I mean? Dun, 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 dun. What's up, Agent Kevin? Bum, 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 bum. Captain Key says Destiny 1 is one of the best games ever. Don't at me. Really highly disagree with that. Really not a big Destiny 1 fan at all. Actually rather dislike it. Sorry if that upsets you. Thoughts on Marathon? Never played it. I'll stay on for another 10 minutes or so, answering a few more questions. Then I'm probably going to go to bed a little bit here. What do I think about the new Master Chief armor? I like it. I like it. I think it looks pretty good. The only thing I don't really like about it is 343 tends to go a little hardcore on the green, like with the Halo 2 remake. I thought Master Chief was a little too green. Really, the color I don't think has ever been done better than in Halo 3. Like if you look at Chief, like it's like a matte gray with a green tint to it, and it just looks like it's just fucking perfect. And just like depending on like the lighting, it's a more subtle green. That's the word I'm looking for. Like the green that Master Chief has in this game is a lot more subtle. It's kind of like a grayish green. I've always preferred that to the more pronounced, really like heavy green. And I also think they tend to make Chief a little more glossy. I don't really like the gloss look. I prefer more of a matte. If those are unfamiliar terms, I do work in paintage. That shit gets used a lot. Hey, Ultraman, really appreciate that. $10, man. Appreciate it. Are we going to get more streams in the future? Would any patrons be able to play with you? Do you think they should adopt a monetization method of tying DLC maps to the Game Pass and map packs? Yes, we'll get more streams in the future. Will I allow patrons to play with me? Absolutely. As when I kind of ramp the channel back up, we will definitely be doing stuff like that. And I also appreciate your continued patronage. I do recognize you from the Patreon. Method of tying DLC map packs to the Game Pass. I don't know about that. Like a subscription service to the map packs. That's interesting. I'm not sure. I'm not opposed to. I'm not opposed to. What's the stupid Fortnite thing? The Battle Pass system. It's not the worst system ever. I do think you could have a lot of the stuff with kind of what I talked about in my community video with a Game Pass or a Battle Pass, and I did mention that towards the end. I don't mind paying for DLC. I do prefer map packs over just like one map every month or whatever, just like trickling content outwards. But yeah. I do know what marathon is. Vortigo. I'm not sure how to say that. I do know what marathon is. I haven't actually gone and played it. I've looked into it. I've seen gameplay of it. So it's not like I've never heard of it. I've never really felt a desire to go play it. But I do know it's made by Bungie. I do know it's kind of their precursor to Halo. Dun, dun, dun. Did I like the Gears 5 campaign? Not overly. I don't think I'll save the stream. I try and keep the streams pretty insular. Just like, if you're here, great. If not, sorry. And that's mainly because I don't usually do much on the stream, right? Like, the game's been paused like 50% of the time. I'm mainly just kind of talking with you guys. That's what I enjoy doing more than actually playing, because I prefer to focus on the community and the people who watch and the people who ask questions and answering those questions than I do playing, because I if you were there earlier in the stream, you'll see I'm not very good at doing those at the same time. Vortigo, I nailed it. Nice. My English classes really paid off. Yeah, I hope the lack of, like, some people, like, the thing is, some people, I think most people probably watch streams for gameplay, and like, I don't know, like, I've never really been even though I talk about gameplay and design a lot, like, I've never really worried too much about if I have the best clips or the best footage or anything like that. And on one hand, like, it does suck because people will try and use it to discredit me a lot. Like, oh, yeah, look at his fucking gameplay. He only got, like, 3 double kills. Like he missed this guy. Like, why should we listen to him? And which is bullshit, but, you know, it happens. But on the other hand, like, some people are like, hey, like, you know, this dude's, you know, not the best player in the world, and he's still passionate. And I think there's an audience for that too, especially when I think my content, like, the value of it is more in what I'm saying than what I'm showing most of the time. Thanks, YT Mania. LARPing at Life said, I pooped my pants, but I'm not getting up because you said I won't be able to watch this later. Oh, man. Oh, man. Now I almost want to just, like, take, like, a 45-minute bathroom break. Just, like, force him to sit there in his own shit. Joking, of course. you guys would rewatch the stream. So right now the streams are just kind of like special things, and I've got 3 donations. Like I really wasn't even expecting a single donation. I appreciate that. I will stream more. I actually just got approved for like becoming like YouTube memberships, and I'm like I don't know if I'm gonna do that, but I do think that's kind of cool that I got a notification that said I could do that. So I might stream more. I prefer to focus on more calculated long form content. I hope my answers are interesting, but I do prefer to have a script where I can really fully capture the extent of my thoughts. Commentary over gameplay. Appreciate that. One thing that's cool is, I haven't been showing too much gameplay, but I've been averaging 160 people on this stream, which is by far the best stream I've ever had. So I do really appreciate that. I'm glad that you guys are here enjoying the discussion. I like the just the interaction and all the comments. Let's see. Gamer Gains. Hey Fav, been a fan for years. I've always enjoyed your well thought out analyses for gaming. For a creator starting out, what advice would you have? Thanks. So, starting out, first of all, you got to get started. A lot of people talk about making videos and they never do. And they just sit there. You do have to start. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to suck. Go watch my first video. I don't have the video formatted right. My mic's garbage. I did it in one take. I stutter. It's bad. But I got started and I learned and I got better and I evolved, right? So that's one thing you got to do. You got to get started. Second of all, you do have to be pretty... Like you do have to have like some ability. You got to have something interesting to say. One thing I always told myself is nobody cares who I am. Nobody cares about Favyn. Who the fuck's Favyn? Like why would I watch him? Who cares? And so you'll notice if you go and you watch my titles, very few of them say anything about what I think about such and such. What I think about this, like, or I'm doing this thing, like come watch me do this. Like nobody cares who I am. And I've always focused more on the content. You watch my videos, I never introduce myself. I'm never say, hey, yo, what's up? This is Favyn and I'm making a video. Make sure you like and subscribe. By the way, check out my Twitter, check out this, check out that. Like I took the mindset that nobody fucking cares who I am yet. So I always focused on the videos saying something interesting, saying something as concisely and articulately as I possibly could, and I'd like to think that I've said things in an interesting way over the years. I don't know how many brand new ideas I've ever come up with. What I've mainly focused on is explaining an idea in a way that as many people could understand it as possible. And so that's kind of how I'd start out. I wouldn't try and establish you. I would try and establish your ideas. Nobody cares about your 100 subscriber special video. You know what I mean? Like, oh, like 100 subscribers. Like you just wasted your time because maybe 10 of your 100 subscriber special is actually going to watch it. Like maybe 10 of your subscribers are going to care, and you're not going to grow from that. Nobody's going to watch that. That's why I don't stream a lot. Even now, I don't think I'm big enough, right? I don't think people just find me interesting enough to watch me stream. Like now I have over 20,000. That's decent. That's not too bad. But I don't think streaming early on is a great way to grow your channel because again, it's like, who the fuck are you? Why do I care about your gameplay? Like, why do I care? And I'm not trying to be like a jerk about it. Like I said, I thought about this about myself. I'm not saying, hey, screw you. I'm just saying, like really think about it. Like, how do people know who you are? Why are people going to click on you just because of your name? So I really believe you got to have an idea. And I know that's a really long-winded answer, but I hope it helps. Frags O'Neill, donated $10. Really appreciate that, dude. Enjoy the stream and good luck with the baby on the way. Hey, man, really appreciate it. Please go ahead, ask if you want to ask a question. I'd be happy to answer. But appreciate the good luck and goodwill. Thanks, Tomfoolery. Appreciate that. Now I got to catch up because I got to get back here. Carson, thank you so much for the $5 donation. He asked, how did you come up with the name Favyn? There is a story. It's, I don't know if it's funny. It's really not a big deal. It's kind of lame how I came up with the name. I won't tell you where I got the name. I did get it from somewhere. I will tell you why I chose the name. Maybe at 100,000 people, I'll tell you where I got my name, but I'll tell you how I chose the name. I wanted a name, and it kind of ties into the previous question about starting on YouTube. I wanted something distinct. I wanted something unique that nobody else had. I wanted something that was short and easy to remember, and something that if you searched it or put it in a search bar, I would be basically the only thing that showed up. So that's kind of the idea why I chose that. Like, nobody, there's no other Favyns or Favyns or Favens out there. It's short, it's easy to remember. That was the idea and the intention of it. Ironic if my child joined the track team. You guys are fucking with me. Oh man. What do I want to see on Thursday besides the Chief not sprinting? Honestly, truthfully, like I've set very realistic expectations for Infinite and Halo personally. I am excited to see the community's reactions. Like, whatever they show, whether it's a classic Halo or a modern Halo or anything, I am just excited to see, here's what they've been making for 5 years. Are people excited about it? Are people losing their shit about it? Like what is the reaction? I'm really excited to just see a Halo out in the limelight again with the gaming community at large reacting to it. I'm really excited for that. How about a quickscope? What's my favorite map? That is a very difficult question. I don't know if I have a favorite. I have like a collection of maps I really like, because when I think about map design, I don't think about like, oh, this is the best map. This is how all maps need to be. One thing I love about Halo is it has such a large variety of maps, and each one offers a different experience. Like Narrow's super linear aggression, very unique style, really simple geometry and just simple in general, and yet completely distinct. No other map plays like it. And then you have Pit, which is like a more traditional, it's not really a 3-lane map, but it has that kind of standard style. And then you got your Midship, which is a 2-base 2-tower map. You got Guardian and Lockout, which are bridge work maps. I really like kind of the one-sided objective asymmetrical big team maps or mid-tier maps like the High Grounds and the Zanzibars. So I like that Halo offers multiple styles of map design, because unlike you look at Call of Duty, where it's like, hey, the mechanics and the guns and your loadouts and all of that stuff, that changes, but your map design is usually very static. If you ever try anything other than a 3-lane map, that community absolutely shits its brains out. Like, it can't handle it. They're like, oh man, fucking Gustav Cannon, that's the worst map of all time. It's not 3 lanes. And like Modern Warfare, the worst map design ever. It's not 3 lanes. It's horrible. And not saying Modern Warfare has good map design, but I think you kind of see what I mean, right? Where it's like, hey, what am I trying to say? Fuck. I lost my train of thought because I saw a $5 donation come in. God damn it! Why are you guys giving me money? Messing me up. I like that Halo's map design formula is to not have a formula. And that's kind of a huge point that I've always tried to make, right? Because it's like, okay, the gameplay is simple. And the point is to build around that simple gameplay. So one of the things is it's your map design. The mechanics have to come from that. So your maps all can't be the same. They have to be different. They have to offer different experiences. That's kind of what Halo did. Like, look at Halo 3. Go through the map list of Halo 3 or Halo 2 or in Halo 1. Go through those games. Look at the variety of maps. Just look at the sheer variety of them. Tomfoolery says, congrats on the kid. What Halo mission do you consider the quintessential Halo mission? I think I'm going to just exclude Silent Cartographer from that question. Thanks again for the $4.99. Appreciate that. I'm just going to exclude the Silent Cartographer because I think that's kind of a cop-out. And here's another thing, right? I just said about the map design. I feel the same way about the campaign missions. Like, I love kind of like outskirts Metropolis. Like, when you first land on Earth in Halo 2, and you go through those missions, and you're battling in the courtyard, and you're holding out, and then you got to beat the hunters. Then you're going through the city streets, and you got the jackal snipers, and you're going through the hotel, and then you end up on a beach. Next thing you know, you're on a bridge. Like, all that extended sequence is rather linear, right? It's completely opposed. Not, I shouldn't say opposed, but it's definitely different, right, than the Silent Cartographer, really open, really kind of expansive, large vehicle-based level design. And yet I still love that section of the game. I like that Halo blends linearity and open style designs. I like that the mission level structure allows you to kind of do both. Right, I like Halo 2 when you land on Halo for the first time, and again, you kind of have that holdout section, and you're going through, and you're fighting race, and you're extending bridges, and you're doing all that shit. I like Halo 3, like, hey, the Covenant, the mission that takes place right after this mission right here, which is the Ark, the Covenant, where you're taking down a freaking generator, and you're flying with your goddamn Hornets, and you're fighting two Scarabs at the same time, like. Halo's got so many good missions, and a lot of the times they offer something different. So, again, mission design for Halo, in my opinion, should be about variety. Not like, hey, the Silent Cartographer is really great. Let's just make every mission the Silent Cartographer. I hope that makes sense. Let's see. I do see your donation, Simo. Let me go back up, make sure I'm not missing anything good here. Gamer Gains, really appreciate your question. Have a good night, dude. Thanks for tuning in. The stream's actually growing as I continue to not play. That's insane to me. Kristen likes the energy of my voice. Thanks, Kristen. I guess that's good, right? Let's see. Frost says all he cares about is the art style, and I mean, if that's the case, we've seen that, right? Like, that's probably going to be pretty good. Looks good so far from the couple glimpses we've seen. So, congrats, Frost, on getting on enjoying this new Halo game. I'm happy for you. My favorite Halo game's probably 3. 5 years ago, if you'd have asked me, I'd say it was tied between Halo 2 and 3. But I've kind of began to see the flaws in both of them in a good way, because I'm like, oh, great, we can get better at this and this and this and this. And I think while both of them have flaws, the 1s and 2 bother me a little bit more right now. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. I love all of them. I shouldn't say that. I love all of the old ones. Halo 3 edges out 2 a little bit. Although I would probably say I like 2's campaign better than 3. I'm pretty confident in saying that. I prefer 2's campaign over 3. I think 3 just was the complete package. It had Theater, Forge. It had a great multiplayer. Loved the maps. Enjoyed the campaign. Enjoyed a lot of the features in the campaign. I was heavily involved in the Halo 3 community online, and 100% is influencing me. Halo 2, I didn't have Xbox Live for the first part of that game coming out. But yeah, I was there day one, Halo 3 basically. All right, CMO, $5, really appreciated, dude. With FFA snipers, would you support radar? I played FFA snipers in Reach, and lack of radar plays terrible in FFA, but good in team snipers. With FFA snipers, would you support radar? I mean, I could probably see that. I could have radar and snipers, because if it's like a proximity close to you type of radar in a game mode about long distance engagements, like yeah, I could see that being okay. Like to me, if you're trying to sneak up on somebody sniping and they're probably in their scope anyway, they probably can't even see your radar. So I am on board with radar and team snipers. I do not think that would be detrimental to that particular game mode. Martian Malkopt is telling people to give me money. I don't know. We'll see. My favorite mission are CE Halo 2, Delta Halo, and Halo 3, the Arc. I think there's a pattern there, but I can't quite put my finger on it. Let's see. Delta Halo, the Arc. So the pattern I see there is they're larger, they're vehicle focused, but they're still leading you down a linear path. This is Fizz Sama. This is who asked kind of not a question but made a statement. I would say those are open-oriented levels as far as just like the space of them, and you have a lot of room and you can move your vehicles, but they're still kind of like just wide corridors. You're still going to one specific place, while Silent Cartographer and Halo, the second mission of the first game, those are, a little more open-ended. Like I could go here, I could go there, I can go this place, I can go that place. So to me, there is a little bit of a distinction, and I do think you're onto something. I do think there is kind of a connection there. Like, this is very linear. Like, this is the Arc, right? Like, this is a big open space. It's lots of different interactions that are possible. But there's really only one place I can go. I gotta, it's a big environment to play around in, but it's not like an open-ended environment where I can tackle this a million different ways. It's not like, oh, here's a branching path, I can go check that out. Here's a branching path. It's just one path. It's just a wide path. I think that might be the distinction. How's Buried Life? Loving it. Very happy. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see. Gonna keep taking a look. Please excuse me while I quickly read comments. The problem is I talk too long, and then like 300 things pop up, and then it takes me a while to kind of reorient myself. Power to the player or power to the sandbox? Between the two, which would you lean more towards? This was a question asked by Little Helper. I mean... Flawless Cowboy says a couple comments down, you're on the Sandbox Guys stream. Yeah, it's it's power to the sandbox, right? It's power to your environments. It's power to your sandbox. Kind of what I've been echoing for a while. It's like, hey, keep your gameplay simple and modular, and then build around that. So I'm definitely not for powering up the player. I'm more for almost really limiting the player and giving them the tools to solve it, kind of more like a puzzle. Like even Dark Souls, which is an RPG that gives you tons of shit, right? You have tons of different weapons you can bring to any encounter. You can bring tons of different stuff, but mechanically, as far as like the actual mechanics and way you interact, it's like simple. Like you got a fast attack, a strong attack, and a dodge roll, and then a couple variations depending on if you're sprinting or jumping, right? But like as far as like you compare Dark Souls' melee to something like Devil May Cry, which is the opposite of that, where it's just like give the player as much shit as you possibly can. I think you can kind of see a little bit of what I'm talking about. Like the mechanics are, hey, what does this boss do? It's not what can I do. It's what does that boss do? What do I have to do to counteract what this boss is doing? Right? That the mechanics are on the AI. The mechanics are attached to the sandbox. The mechanics are attached to the environments. Right? Like, oh man, it's this like a Dark Souls world design is a huge component of that game, as opposed to Devil May Cry, where the combat, like the world design, is just an afterthought. It's just like as much space as you need to do the cool shit that your character can do. And I love both games, by the way. I'm not saying one's better. One is better, but I like both games, if you know what I'm saying. Can I lower my game audio? Well, I'm not playing it right now. Oh, I must be really far behind. I'm just going to scroll down. Okay, here we go. If every game was made like Halo, and sandbox games really at large, what ways would you think the gaming industry would be worse? You mean like if every game was made like Halo, it would be worse for the exact reason I think it's a problem now. I don't want every game to be like Halo. Just like I don't want Halo to be like every game. If I like something, that doesn't mean I want every game to be like that thing. It's like that's why, and it's weird. It's like I say I like Halo, and then I like a game like Titanfall 2, where it has tons of mobility. Maybe like the most mobile move set in any first-person shooter ever, right? It's like you can literally like grapple onto a pole and launch yourself across the map. It's like one of the most mobile video games out there. And people are like, well, I thought you liked simple first-person shooters. It's like, no, I like variety. I like every game to offer something a little bit different. I like hyper-mobile shooters like Titanfall 2. I don't want Halo to be Titanfall 2. I like really tactical, punishing, complex games like Rainbow Six Siege. I don't want Halo to be like Rainbow Six Siege. I don't want Rainbow Six Siege to be like Halo. I want games to have variety. So to answer your question, the reason I don't want games to be like Halo is because I want games to be their own thing. I don't want more Halos. I want one Halo, and I want Halo to do what it did very well. The Scarab was the only boss done right in Halo. They should stop trying to make Destiny-like bullet sponge bosses. I mean, even the Scarab, is it a boss? Like, is it really a boss? Like, I think the first time you fight it, it's really effective. I don't think mechanically it's interesting enough to hold up over repeat playthroughs. Like, when the Scarab first pops up, now you know exactly how to beat it. It's dead in like 3 seconds. It's barely anything. But one thing I really like about it is it's basically just a really big piece of AI. It's not really a boss. It's not a set piece. It's just like, wow, that's just an enemy, and it's just like a really big one. And little enemies are sitting on top of it, and you can attack it from a bunch of different ways. So I do like that. Simo says variety can be the spice of life, but for me, I disagree. I don't like variety, to be honest. Go ahead and elaborate a little bit more on that. I'll try and read your question and kind of respond to that. That's interesting to me. Appreciate your honesty. Flight of the Tall Guy, what's your thoughts on a hybrid between Halo 3 and Halo 5? Again, what would that look like? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like if you literally had a hybrid between Halo 3 and Halo 5, I assume that means keep some abilities in Halo 5 but remove others. I feel like you'd still piss off people who play Halo 3 and like Halo 3. And I feel like you'd probably piss off the people who like Halo 5. Because I think what makes Halo 5 great for the people who like Halo 5 is how all of those mechanics come together to create a cohesive experience. I think if you remove some of those, you remove a lot of the appeal of Halo 5. Like I've talked a lot with people who really enjoy Halo 5 as a game, and it's just they love the amount of agency you have as an individual and how all of the different abilities can be used in tandem to achieve a bunch of different stuff. So I think if you remove that, I think you're going to hurt the experience for the people who have come to really enjoy that. And I also think you're just going to just not satisfy the classic fans like myself, because I don't care if you remove thrust and you know, like stabilize and Spartan charge. Like if you remove stuff like that and you still have sprint and clamber, I'm not going to be happy. Like I'm still going to be mad. If you remove everything but sprint, I'm not going to be happy. You know what I mean? So I really think it's kind of a lost cause to go down that path. I'd rather just, hey, let's do classic. Let's build around that. Where it's like, hey, it's a modular game. Let's build around that with a really compelling experience. Or let's build on Halo 5, where it's a lot of agency and a lot of, you know, player empowerment. Just kind of one or the other is what I prefer. I would rather play a game that embraces Halo 5 than a game that compromises that style to try and appeal to me, because it's not going to work. I would rather just play a game that is uncompromising in its vision. The worst case scenario on what could happen during the showcase. The worst case scenario is that Infinite flops, because when they're like advertising this showcase that's coming up in a couple days, they're not just like, it's not just the Xbox showcase. Like Infinite is in almost every single marketing. Like if you see Jeff Keighley talk about it, who I guess is presenting at the showcase, like Infinite is mentioned in every one of his tweets. When they talk about the showcase, it's a picture of Master Chief sitting there. You know what I mean? Like that is a big part of this. If they drop the ball on Infinite, then I think people are going to be pretty harsh towards it. Now, to me, the showcase can be saved. Like, Infinite can disappoint me because, like I said, I have realistic expectations about it. But if they show something like Elden Ring or some shit like that, I'm gonna lose my shit. Like, I'm still going to be excited. I'm still going to be happy. So I'm almost like, I'm more excited about, like, Elden Ring, honestly, than I am Halo, because Halo right now I'm just kind of like, okay, let's watch, let's see what this is. Like I've been doing this long enough to not buy into the hype, and I feel like if I'm going to be a voice in the community, I want to be kind of level-headed and separate myself from that. Oh my god, it's a new Halo game. I'm like, yeah, but is it a good one? You know what I mean? That's kind of the stance I'm taking. Christopher Martland, how has Halo not hired me? I haven't applied, so. Hive Tyrant said he had a question, but I can't see it. But I like if playable elites returned. It depends. So I know a lot of people want that. I'm not as super obsessed with playable elites as some other people. I understand there's a little more work into it, especially if you have more abilities. Like imagine designing elites for Halo 5, right? And in Halo 2 and 3, elites did everything, and you think of Master Chief's moveset, and also the fact that the model and the rig was already set up because the Arbiter was playable in the campaign. But when you think about Halo 5, where it doesn't have that, but it also has sprint, thrust, slide, clamber, all of these abilities. Like, an elite has to do that. An elite has to thrust, slide, clamber, all of those different abilities. It's more animation. It's more work. It's harder to set up the hitbox. It's harder to rig them. So it's not as easy as some people say. And to me, there are more pressing matters that need to be attended to before you go through that process. And I hope that was a fair way of answering that question. Bum, 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 bum. So just a follow-up on SEMA, why he prefers less variety. So when I say variety in the industry, I'm not talking about, hey, I think people like to play like tons of different video games at a time. Like, you're basically saying, like, hey, I like to focus on one thing. Exactly, right? So if you want to involve yourself in a community and you want to get really good at something, and you're invested in that, why would you leave that one thing where you don't like variety, you like to focus on one thing and excel at it and get good? Why would you leave that for a different franchise that you're not invested in if it's just trying to do the same thing that you're already enjoying? That's kind of my point. So the point is to have variety, not so one individual can experience hundreds of different games, even though I find myself being someone like that, but because you can appeal to multiple different individuals, right? It's like, okay, well, this individual prefers that style of game. We have something for them. This individual prefers that style of game. We have something for them. If you only go for like what's massively popular, like, oh, it's just, this is the popular FPS, let's all copy that, then there's a lot of people that are left out in the lurch where they don't have anything to play. So people like me who are inclined towards what classic Halo provided, we have literally no game to fill that void. We have absolutely nothing like classic Halo out there right now. And so that's more of what I meant by that. Do I think the bubble shield should come back by Mr. Tweezy 007? I like the bubble shield. I mentioned this earlier in the stream. Not sure if you were here for that part, but I'd like it to have a little bit more interaction with the rest of the sandbox. And I won't explain that too much because I don't want to go into that again. But yeah, I enjoy the bubble shield. Would I be satisfied? Banami. Would I be satisfied by what? Elaborate. I don't know what you're referencing. Holy crap, I missed a lot of comments. Fundamental Medium says, what opinions have you expressed in previous videos that have since changed? So I don't know if I have an opinion that's changed as far as, hey, I used to believe this thing and now I believe this thing. What I believe has changed is how I deliver that opinion, or maybe like the perspective. I've definitely changed my perspective on who I'm talking to. So let me think of a good example of what I mean by that, because that probably makes absolutely no sense. I'll give, like, when I made a video response to Azoli a couple years back, I made that video from a perspective that, hey, he was talking about clamber. I have my perspective of what a classic Halo is, or what Halo is. And if you took clamber and you put put it in that version of Halo, it wouldn't be good at all. Like it would like Clamber would do this, Clamber would do that, Clamber would do this, and I created my argument and I constructed my argument off of that. But then like Shyway, who's another content creator, and you should check him out, he made a video response to me, but his perspective of Clamber was with the foundation of what Halo 5 is. Like to him, he's thinking of, well, this is what Clamber does in a game like Halo 5, where it has this and this and this and this and this. And so he was like, well, actually you're wrong because you can do this if you thrust jump and slide and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, well, shit, okay. I wasn't even thinking about that stuff. I was thinking like if you took Clamber and you put it in the style of Halo game I think about, that this is what it would do. So stuff like that has shaped my opinion from the standpoint that when I talk about something, it's not just, hey, here's what this does to the Halo that I envision, but how does this change the Halo that you envision, right? How does this change the Halo for somebody who likes Halo 5? Like, when I talk about this mechanic, what context are they viewing it in? So those are the things I've mainly tried to focus on. And so when I get feedback and stuff like, hey, blah, 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 it really does help me because I'm like, okay, I need to know that perspective because I need to consider that perspective when I make my future arguments. Hope that was a good enough answer for you. Do I think Halo will ever be as popular as it was in 2007? No. I don't. I think if you made the best Halo ever and it was a classic Halo, it probably wouldn't be as big as it was in 2007. Just because there's just a lot more. There's a lot more. What's the word I'm looking for? I think there are more methods of delivering games to people. It's not just that there's more games, because I really dislike that argument. Oh, there's just more competition. I think there's just different types of competition in that, like, hey, if you sell Halo for $60, is it, even if it's like the best game ever and tons of people like it, is it going to beat Fortnite? You know, like that's free and on hundreds of different consoles? Probably not. You know what I mean? So that I don't think so. Now, it might become just as popular as it used to be, but I think there are games out nowadays where they're more popular than Halo ever was. And so even if Halo got to where it used to be, it still wouldn't be the number one game. And it might kind of skew how people perceive it. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Flawless Cowboy says, if Clamber has longer frames, I'm okay with it to punish people harder, but all must be crouch jumpable. I disagree with that. I just want to, I want that one gone. Because here's the thing, it's like if you design your maps to where you don't need Clamber and you make Clamber shitty to use, then are you putting Clamber in the game because it's good for the game, or are you putting Clamber in the game because you're trying to fulfill an expectation? You know what I mean? Like, that's what you have to think about when you think about game design. It's like, am I doing this because my game is better, or am I doing this because I'm trying to compromise? And that's the problem with compromises, because a lot of times it makes your game shittier. It doesn't make your game better. So keep that in mind. Casey gave me $10. Really appreciate that, dude. No comment, no message, no nothing. Appreciate it. Did I play Watch Dogs 2? I played the first one. The Borrow Gaming. Hive Tyrant says, if Halo became popular again, how do you think streamers like Shroud would affect the game? So, kind of controversial. I don't really give a shit. I really dislike the idea of paying streamers or trying to get streamers to promote your game. People will play your game if it's good. People will stream your game if it's good. I think it's better to make something that's interesting. That like Fortnite didn't pay Ninja to stream Fortnite. Fortnite was a popular game that Ninja streamed because he liked it, and he got really big and really popular, and the game took off, and he exploded. To me, that's how it has to work, because if the streamer doesn't like your game, then as soon as whatever your agreement is over, they'll leave. It's toast. They're done. Like, okay, you paid Shroud however many millions of dollars to play this game for a week. And as soon as that obligation is done, they're going to go back to whatever they were playing before. So you really just have to make a good game at the end of the day. So I think if you're trying to appeal to streamers, if you're trying to use streamers in your marketing, I dislike it. I dislike it personally. Matthew Pettigrew, $5. Really appreciate the donation. I've never had this many donations. Like, I'm actually floored. Like, I actually am just really, really floored, and just, you guys have no idea that how exciting that is and how much that means to me. And I didn't hop in thinking I was going to make anything. I just wanted to talk to you guys, but I appreciate the support, especially with me being gone for a little bit. But Matthew Pettigrew says, do you believe Halo Infinite multiplayer will be free to play, and will 343i even show it this Thursday alongside the campaign reveal? Yeah, I don't know about that. That seems scary. Obviously Microsoft puts a lot of stuff on their Game Pass. To me, is Halo one of those games that they do that for? Yeah, I don't know. I'm skeptical of that. And do I think 343 will show multiplayer alongside this Thursday? I have absolutely no idea. No idea. I do know that basically everything they've said, and they've been really specific about the campaign reveal. And I feel like if they were going to show more, they would just say, hey, we're showing off Infinite, instead of like really specifying, hey, this is a campaign reveal. So that, to me, that's kind of leaning in one direction, but I guess in 2 days we'll know for sure. Raptor271 says, hypothetical, what would say to further nerfing Sprint? Personally, I want it gone. Personally, I want it gone too, because I don't think nerfing it is the issue. I don't think it's a balancing concern. I don't think it's, it's too powerful, or it's too weak. I think the issue is that it's too, it changes the game too much. It's not that, let's remove the ability to recharge your shields, and now it's more balanced. It's like, yeah, but did your map design have to completely change? Did you have to alter your weapon sandbox balancing? Does it change the moment-to-moment gameplay? Yeah, it does. It still does all of those things. So even if you balance it, it's not a matter of it being fair. It's a matter of it fundamentally altering the experience. So yeah, I want it gone. I've never thought it was a balancing issue, and it sounds like maybe you don't either. Dun, 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 dun. Simo says, if I did YouTube but not centered on gaming, what would I do? I'd probably do comedy, honestly. I like comedy, just kind of like sketch variety stuff. I will never do that, though, because I'm camera shy. That's all talking about, what do you think of a Halo Battlefront mode with playable Banished, UNSC, and Created? Maybe I suck. Like, I must be missing something. I've seen people talk about that. I don't know what the Created are. I don't remember that being in Halo 5, unless you're talking about the Prometheans. Am I missing something? But yeah, I don't. Maybe that's in a book or something. I'm not as big into the lore side of things. More of the gameplay stuff. But I'm missing something. Yeah, I'd be cool with that. Like if you had like a separate Invasion style thing. Like, I thought Invasion was good because it was new. It was interesting. It was different, but the maps and all of those modes and stuff, they could still be utilized by the other aspects, unlike Warzone, which is more separated, and the rest of the game couldn't take advantage of the resources that were put into it. So anytime you're going to add something like that, let us make sure that, hey, we can use those as Forge canvases if we want to. We can, do big super capture the flag modes on it. Alrighty, let's keep going. P.S. How do you think squad mechanics could be improved? I'd be totally fine with those being removed. I think squad mechanics are just kind of bleh. I don't know. I think they're kind of lame, honestly. Yeah. Like, I don't know if I've ever... I can't think of a single game that's had, like, squad mechanics. And I think for people like Republic Commando and stuff like that. But never like been just like super compelled, like, oh man, I told my guy to go here and he went there. You know what I mean? Like, I told my guy to be aggressive and he shot somebody. Like, okay, not super into it. Especially when you just have games like what's that new game by Marcus Leto, the Disintegration game or something like that. And it was basically like a first-person shooter with like really significant squad mechanics, and it was horrible. Like, it was not fun. Now, I'm not saying it can't be done, but I don't know. I think MCC is cross-platform, the Weasel 2. Created are the AI faction. Cortana's army is the created. Okay. A Divine Taco donated $7. Love your way of thinking. Well, I appreciate the $7. Very, very Bungie inspired, I'm assuming. Very Bungie-esque. Well, I appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate you listening, and I appreciate the $7 donation. We are one viewer away from 200. I cannot fucking believe that. That is 201 viewers. First time I've ever hit that. So, holy shit. And it's just me fucking sitting here. We're rambling. Well, thanks for tuning in. Most donations I've ever had, most viewers. When I do this and I get this sort of response, that really makes me want to get something out to you guys. And you'll hear from me with a video later this week after the showcase, where I'll be reacting to whatever we see with Halo Infinite. Epsilon Xenos. Do you think having more interactive maps are important, such as having switches that block certain paths and forces players to take alternative routes and having destructible environments? Destructible environments, not so much, because I think that leads to a little bit of unpredictability, which I think is important in Halo. Unless it's just kind of like micro destruction, like it's like, oh, here's a jackal sniper nest that you can blow off with a rocket launcher, or very specific things like that. But as for dynamic maps, yeah, I think that's super important. I think there's a lot of potential to expand the sandbox, and I think there's a lot of potential to just introduce new gameplay ideas in general via map design. So yes, I do think it's very important. Get Spanked says, question, in one of your videos you said that 343 can't satisfy the casual and competitive communities. If that's so, why is Halo 3 the best game ever? Not a template for that. Did Halo 3 not cater to both? So Get Spanked, like, which video are you talking about? So if you're saying 343 can't satisfy the casual and competitive communities, I don't think I've ever actually said that. And one of the first videos I ever made was casual versus competitive, like Halo competitive versus casual. And I literally say, hey, you can do both. But what I am saying is I don't think it can satisfy both modern Halo fans and classic fans. So that is a distinction that I think is pretty important to consider. I do think it can satisfy both casual and competitive. I don't think you can satisfy both modern Halo fans that want abilities and classic fans that want basically no abilities. Floss Cowboy, I'm your biggest fan. Well, I appreciate that, and you don't worry about the donation stuff, dude. I'm, like I said, I wasn't expecting any of that. Just excited that people are tuning in and sticking around and enjoying the stream. Oh, I'm really behind. Holy shit, Simo. God damn it, dude. $5. Will you still talk about COD Modern Warfare 2019 multiplayer? If not, what is your too long didn't watch? Also, side note, what do you think of the leak from Exclusive Ace for COD 2020? Fill me in on that leak for Exclusive Ace. I'm not familiar with it. COD Modern Warfare 2019. Just the honest truth about it, man. I intended to make a video. It just didn't hit me. I just wasn't enjoying it. I wasn't enjoying playing it. I didn't want to play it enough to create a formulate an opinion on it, and I didn't want to create a video where I didn't think I spent enough time with it. So it was just a personal decision that I decided to not do. I might not make it. It won't be like a video about Modern Warfare's multiplayer, but I do intend to talk about Call of Duty map design in general, in which that particular multiplayer will be featured heavily in. The rotate on lockout was an awesome change in Halo 2 Anniversary. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, if you look at Halo 2 lockout and you look at blackout, you might initially think like, hey, those are like the same map. But there are subtle variations that change those two maps, kind of like what you're talking about here with the H2A lockout version. Like in Halo 2, you can look from BR Tower all the way down to the bottom of Sniper Tower. In Halo 3, you can't do that. So there are a lot of little subtle variations that do change it. Some people like that, but I think most people prefer classic lockout to blackout, if I remember correctly. It's not as big enough deal for me, because like I said, I play Halo seriously, but I don't take it like super serious levels. Like, I'm not esports or anything like that. But yeah. Druid Actual says, I'm so looking forward to the post-Thursday sprint, no sprint memes. Either way it goes, the memes will be glorious. I too, and I said this earlier, I'm just excited to see how people react. I'm excited for the memes. I'm excited for the excitement. Will I be streaming the Halo Infinite reveal and giving my reactions to it? I can't. I will actually be working, unfortunately. So I'll be at work. I'm planning on kind of taking my lunch at then, and then I'll be watching that. What features do you think Romero's bitch $5? Thank you so much for the donation, dude. Let me answer your question here. What features do you think 343 might include from recent popular mods like Vidam's Halo Evolved, Ruby's Halo Rebalanced, SPV3, etc.? Let me think. So, of the ones I've personally played, that would be SPV3. And I think a lot of the stuff that SPV3 did was it took a little bit from Reach, right? Where man, it's been a while since I played it, but it had like armor abilities and stuff. Like, you could pick up sprint. Now, I've actually talked to Masters himself, like the person who's kind of in charge of that mod, and he reached out to me. We had a discussion about that, and the way they incorporated those things, man, you know what? I can't remember the conversation. That was honestly 4 to 5 years ago when I talked about that and kind of experienced SPV3. But SPV3 really tried to kind of like expand the levels and make them a little more elaborate. I think that, based on a lot of rumors, possible Infinite goes that route. I feel like that's probably a really weak answer, and it comes down to me just not having a lot of experience with with the fan-made projects, unfortunately. No disrespect to everybody making Halo fan-made projects. I'd play them all if I could, but limited schedule, I just can't give them the fair shake that I wish I could. Hive Tyrant says, what was your opinion on Halo Wars 2? Personally, I think it was incredibly bland. Halo Wars 1 was so immersive in comparison. I have a review of Halo Wars 2 that you can go check out for my full thoughts. Mac Milico The customs Forge community is very excited at the potential of Infinite's Forge mode. What sort of custom games are you fond of, and what kind of new custom Forge mechanics do you wish to see? Big Infection fan. I love Infection. I love all the various game modes you can make out of it. I love stuff like, Trash Compactor, Fat Kid, Jenga, Duck Hunt, like all of these great modes. Oh shoot, I lost your comment and I can't read it again. But yeah, so as far as what I want from Forge, so first of all, I want the complexity to increase, but I also want like a simple builder where it's like, hey, this is it's kind of more of a simple like, hey, I can just throw objects at my friends and I can just go in and have a good time and not worry about it too much. I do want them to consider that aspect a little bit. Mirroring is a feature I really want where, hey, I can build one thing, right, and not just duplicate it, but flip it on its axis so it's featured. So if you were doing like a mirrored symmetry map, which would be something like the Pit, for instance. The Pit is considered a mirrored symmetrical map. You would only have to build half of the Pit and then mirror its symmetry, and so it's like, hey, now I literally have like two perfectly symmetrical sides and my map's done. That would be like the biggest one for me, because I was building a map in Halo 5 and I'm like, oh my god, if I could just mirror it, it would be great, but instead I gotta build a whole nother basically just copy it. So that's a feature I really hope to see. Flippant Solutions. Favyn, do you think Chris Raygun was correct in calling Halo an arena shooter? I don't think it is. I consider it kind of a hybrid. I honestly consider it kind of its own thing. I know a lot of people call it that, and it's just kind of an accepted term, and I'm not offended by it. But I would probably designate it as something else. Because basically the only thing it maintains with an arena shooter is that it's even starts and weapon pickups. But the way it handles its sandbox, the way it handles its movement, the way it handles its mechanics are completely different than what you would associate with a traditional arena shooter. So it does have arena shooter elements. I'm not comfortable calling it that, but I don't tend to correct people if they call it that, because it's like, hey, you know what, I can understand why you call it that. Rob Gagnon, $10. Wow, dude. Appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for your comment. Good to hear from you, Fav. Hope you're healthy and wealthy. Recent rumors are that the Mad Lads actually removed Sprint. Boy, would that be the fucking day. Hope you're right. Hope those rumors are right. But we will see in 2 days. Thanks for stopping by. Ultraman said, I'll get off in 10 minutes. I did say that about an hour ago. You're right. But I mean, like, the questions kept coming, the stream kept growing, the donations kept rolling in, and I'm just like, holy crap, this is the best stream I've ever had. And I haven't touched the mouse and keyboard for a solid hour until just now. Dun, 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 dun. Do I think casual or competitive is more important in Halo? D. Gus asked that question. I think the important part is making sure your game can successfully compensate for both. And I have a buddy who works in the industry, and I was talking with him about this. I was kind of using the same terminology, right? Like casual and competitive. Like, how do we do this? How do we do that? And he said something that I really agree with, and it's kind of stuck with me. He said, there is no casual and competitive. He said, there's just good and bad. And I believe that. I think if you're designing something for people who don't want to take your game seriously, it's probably not the best option. I think, again, skill floor, skill ceiling. You want to be as accessible as you possibly can, but you also want to be have as much depth as you can. While obviously you don't want to just like make it unnecessarily deep and to the point where it's not fun. But if an idea would make your game better, and that idea might potentially be less accessible, I say err on the side of making your game better. BJ, I feel like it talks about Chris Ray Gun taking my ideas. I mean, are they my ideas, or did I just say them a certain way? I don't know. Like that's the thing. It's like they're design concepts, and I just explained design concepts. So I don't know if I wouldn't say he ripped me off. Like there's definitely some things he said that I said, but I don't view it that way. And like I said, I like Chris. I talk to Chris quite a bit, so I don't view it that way. And here's the thing. I want people talking about it. Like, holy shit, like freaking Chris Ray Gun talked about these things. You know what I mean? Like I don't care about like, oh, these are my ideas. Like, I'm the guy who said Sprint was bad. Like, no, I want fucking everybody saying that shit. Are you kidding me? Like, hell yeah. I want more people to do it. Like, if freaking Ninja got out there, he's like, fuck Sprint. Like, here's why. And he just, like, ripped my argument, like, 1-to-1. I'd be like, fuck yeah, dude. Let's go. Like I said, I'm not in it to try and get big. Like, these are just concepts. These are just the way my mind sees things, and I'd rather get into a studio than like be like he's the idea guy and he's got a YouTube channel. Like, no, that's not really how I see it. I was the first in the community to touch on designing around the sandbox. If anything, I was just the person to say it in a way where more people got it. Like those concepts, they're just not like I came up with them. Like I talk to people all the time. I talk to people that work on games. I talk to people in the community that don't necessarily make videos. And this is what we talk about. Like, it's not, I'm not the person who invented that concept. Right. I've always just tried to say it in a way that people can understand. So even if you go back and watch my first Sprint video, I literally say, I can't believe I got to say this. Like, I feel like this has been said enough. That's because it had already been said. I didn't come up with the anti-Sprint stuff. So I do appreciate that you like it. You're looking out. If someone just like rips something verbatim word for word, yeah, I prefer to be credited, but I think Chris added quite a bit of his own points to it. But yeah, like the concepts at the core are the same because the concept is the concept, right? Mm-hmm. No, I know Chris watches my videos. Like I said, I've talked to Chris. I've literally been on a podcast with Chris, so I'm aware that he has seen my stuff. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Chris was in the stream earlier. I'd say I'm gonna give it another 10 minutes, but We all know how that went last time. LARPing. Don't be humble. You've articulated these ideas more cognitely and explained them with more depth than I've seen from anybody else in the community. Well, I appreciate that. That's always kind of what I've been trying to do. Just like, can I say this in a way where more people are going to get it? And I'm not resting on my laurels, right? It's just like that concept that other people are starting to get and talk about. That's awesome. That's what I wanted. I want people to talk about that. But I got more stuff I want people to talk about, right? I got more ideas and more ways of looking at things that I hope also catch on, because that's the goal. And here's the thing. I want to work in the industry, right? 343 knows who I am, right? I talk to people at 343. You know, I've had conversations with them. They've invited me to stuff like the Halo Wars 2 launch party. Like, I've gotten to do stuff like that. Like, I'm confident that they know me and they know what I stand for. So that's what I'm more worried about, right? Like, hey, like I'm talking to them, really. Like, I want them to hear it because I want them to make the game. Last question for me. Do you think you'll ever do Rainbow Six Siege videos? Yes, I probably will. I kind of have an idea for one. I actually play Siege a lot. I love Rainbow Six Siege. I have maybe like 400 hours in Rainbow Six Siege or something like that. I play it with my friends all the time. Really enjoy it. It's not perfect, but I will most likely continue. I think you mentioned some earlier videos that your job is in real estate. Is that still the case? No, I actually don't do real estate anymore. I'm still cognizant is the correct word, yes. I think you mentioned in some, yeah. I don't do real estate anymore. I actually manage a paint store. Not nearly as cool. I stopped doing real estate because my wife wanted to get married, and real estate's kind of hard to get financially established in. And so I kind of made the decision that I was gonna do something that was a little more stable and secure, and I was able to grow through that and get into the management system. Great Ranchero. Who are you talking about? BJ has a good question. Do you feel a little pressure for the game to perform well if it does revert back to a classic style, given how much you have been a proponent of it? That is a phenomenal question, because I've thought about this, right? And I've even kind of tried to preemptively talk about it, where I'm like, hey, I've literally made a video called, if 343 makes a classic Halo, it might be bad. I've literally made a video called that, because I've thought about that very thing. They don't know how to make a classic Halo yet. They know the very bare bones structure of it, but they don't know how to build the game around it. And that's the important part. You can remove everything and be like, hey, we have a classic Halo. If you don't build a compelling game around that set of mechanics, it's going to be a bad game. And yeah, I do worry, because if they do that and they make a bad game, then people are going to think, oh, well, classic Halo sucks. It's not viable. That's why I talk about these things. I'm like, hey, it's not a surefire thing. It might still be bad. Now, I don't think those videos would matter. I think if they do a classic Halo and it sucks, we'd be in big trouble. But I guess we'll have to cross that bridge when we get to it. And I think my content would shift towards, hey, okay, great, we're on the right track. Here's what I would do. Like, here's what you're doing. Here's what I would do. So I would, it's not like I would stop giving feedback and I would just instantly love everything it is, because it just doesn't have abilities. I venture to guess we'd still have more we'd have to do at that point. Like, you might have to make more than one classic Halo to get good at making classic Halo. Simo, god damn it. Another $10. Why you do this? I appreciate it, but my throat starting to get parched. Oh, another $5. Damn it. Oh. No, I'm joking. I do appreciate it. I think I'm at over $100 for the stream. That's insane. That is insane. Let's see. I'll get to your guys' questions in just a second. Let me make sure I'm not missing anybody. All right. Simo, weird question here maybe, but with aim assist, do you think they should remove movement-based aim assist but increase the aiming slowdown to better balance the two? Also, thoughts on gyro aiming and more. I'm not a big fan of gyro aiming. Do you think they should remove movement-based aim assist but increase the aiming slowdown to better balance the two? So my opinion on aim assist is I do not like aim assist in the form of something like magnetism, where it just curves your bullet, because as someone who's playing the game, I don't want to see my bullets fly beyond the reticle, right? Aim assist as far as, reticle slowdown and stuff like that, I'm okay with that, but I think the goal is to make it so that you don't notice it, so that you think you're super good, and for it to interfere as little as possible. And I think the older Halo games did that pretty well. Not perfect, but pretty well. But I definitely prefer that over like magnetism and super hit scan weapons. No Mo, $4.99. Appreciate the donation. Hey Fav, based on the campaign game reveal alone, do you think that'll be enough to decide a make or break for you on Infinite? PS, value your input. No, because we're gonna see some gameplay stuff, right? And we're probably gonna know the mechanics of the game pretty well, and so I will be able to deduce from that whether or not I'll enjoy the multiplayer. But I do want to see it first. So I hope I see it on Thursday. If not, I'm going to play it first. So just straight up, I'm not going to look at something and then just assume it's going to be bad. I got to give it its fair shake. I've played games before where I'm like, that's going to suck, that's going to suck, that's going to suck, and I play it and I'm like, you know what? Pretty good. I would even say like Rainbow Six Siege is maybe one of those games where I'm like, you know what? I don't know. Like, seems a little weird. One of my favorite games of all time, right? God of War. Oh man, they're kind of copying Dark Souls. They're straying pretty far from their original formula. It's not really a character action game anymore. And they're like, oh, it's game of the year. Everyone loves it. So I am gonna play it. I'm not gonna have any make or break like, oh, this game's doomed to be garbage, based on what we see. But we're gonna have I'm gonna have an inclination, and we're gonna talk about it. And so we'll get into it whenever I get around to making that video. I'm going to try and have that up by Saturday. Jason Dennis says I should make this my job. If it paid me enough, I would. And if I made this many donations, I might, but I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think I might. I'm not saying I might, but I technically probably made a day's worth of labor with this stream, which is actually really, really cool. I've never done that before. Now, I'm not. The thing is I can't expect that, right? I can't like quit my job. God damn it! Another $5. Oh my god. Man. Here, let me just go tell my wife I'm gonna quit my job and become a streamer. No, I'm joking. But no, I mean obviously I want to work in the industry. It'd be a lot better than what I'm doing right now, but I'm just appreciative of this, and obviously I'm happy with it. I'm more so than that. I'm just happy with the interaction, right? Just like the interactivity, just like the continued watching. Like, we've been averaging 200 viewers this whole time, easily the biggest stream I've ever had. Tons of questions. So I really appreciate all that. Dun, 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 dun. I will answer that question in just a second. Let me get to it. Just Andre says, fans of modern style Halo won't like a classic Halo if it's just Halo 3.5, like they think we want. But if it takes that formula and takes it to the next leap, do you think they'll come around? I don't know. Like, you do have to be willing to have some people not like it. Like, you do have to, like, hey, you know what? If you like Call of Duty, you might not like this game. If you like Rainbow Six, you might not like this game. If you like, whatever, you might not like this game. Overwatch might not like this game. So you do have to be willing to say, hey, we're making a game and we're sticking to our vision and we're just really sticking to the vision. But I don't want Halo 3.5. I don't think they want Halo 3.5. I don't want it. I'm a classic fan and I don't want it. So I'm hoping that they could love it for a different reason than they love Halo 5. Like, they could find it to be a compelling experience. And it's hard to explain what that would look like because it doesn't exist yet, but I believe there is a classic Halo game that is truly innovative, that is at its core the same formula, but expands around it similar to how 2 expanded from 1 and 3 expanded from 2. All right, let's go. Noah Hughes, thanks for the $5, man. Fav, what are your thoughts on ADS Smart Scope, and do you think it will be an Infinite, or have you heard anything regarding it in the game? No idea if it'll be an Infinite. I mean, I'm suspicious because I think everything's going to be an Infinite, right? Like, I think it's going to kind of be based off of Halo 5. But I'm not 100% sure. I hope it's not. So here's the thing. Like, I am against ADS from the traditional standpoint of what ADS means. I am not like these super opposed to, like, if it's just like a cosmetic for what Halo has always had in regards to its zoom. I don't really care. I actually dislike it because I think it clutters the HUD. It decreases visibility. I actually prefer the kind of original style where, it's just like, hey, you have complete visibility. It just zooms in. And I honestly feel like the ADSing and the smart scoping is just a downgrade from that, right? If it increases your accuracy, 100% against it, right? Like, if using it on automatics to give your automatics more range and more accuracy, really dislike that. So I would say I am against it, but I wouldn't say it's just like at the very tippy top of my list of things that we have to destroy. Like, there are a couple things I think we need to get to first. Dominic Phoenix, good night. All keep the good work up. Appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by. Rob Gagnon asks, thoughts on Doom Eternal? I enjoyed it. I don't think it's perfect. I think there are things that the other Doom 2016 did better. But I did enjoy it. I will say that. Another $5. I know, I gotta get to these comments. The comments are coming in too fast. BJ says you may have single-handedly saved the franchise. I'm not sure about that. I doubt it. Don't put pressure on me. Oh no, I missed something. The Great Ranchero, $5. Really appreciate the donation, dude. You've answered enough of my questions, but one more. I want to hear how you'd handle Forerunner weapons in a Halo game. I'm thinking gravity gun. So Forerunner weapons, right? So the Forerunner weapons that 343 have made, I would remove because I find them redundant, kind of uninteresting. I know that's like a really abrupt thing to say without any further explanation, and I could probably explain that better. But those Forerunner weapons I don't think are all that interesting. I think you could probably remove them without too many consequences, without losing too much. As far as like introducing new Forerunner weapons in the game, like, it's just a blank canvas. Like, as long as it adds interesting functionality, as long as it adds new ways to interact with the world that maybe Halo hasn't had before, I think you could do whatever you want. You want to build a gravity gun? Like, sure. But the thing is like, how do you build a gravity gun that is functionally distinct from the gravity hammer, right? Like, because really, you could attach the exact same functionality of the gravity hammer to a gravity gun, and nobody would notice. It might have a different animation. It might have a different, like, aesthetic, but functionally, it's the same thing. So if you want a gravity gun, it's like, okay, well, what does this functionally do that's different from the gravity hammer, right? Like, does it push people away strictly? Does it not do any damage? Is it just a concussive blast? Like how does that work? You know what I mean? So when we're thinking about that, because that's the problem the original Forerunner weapons had. It's just like, oh, well, here's a Forerunner battle rifle, right? It's just like a freaking utility weapon, but a Forerunner version, right? And here's a Forerunner shotgun, right? It's like, oh, it's just a shotgun. But now this one bounces on the ground, or it's just a Forerunner submachine gun. Like it's just a Forerunner pistol. This is just like you see what I'm saying? Do something more interesting than that. Captain Keys, Fav, please raid like game mode in Infinite? ? What do you mean? You know what I mean? Like, what is the incentive of performing a raid in what we're assuming is going to continue to be an arena shooter or whatever Halo is, right? Because there's no loot like in Destiny or World of Warcraft. So what are you earning? Why are you running the raid over and over again? Like, why are you fighting the bosses? Just for cosmetics, potentially? Like, sure. I mean, I guess, but I don't know if it's the best fit for Halo or Halo Infinite. Weston, $5. Really appreciate it, dude. Thank you for the $5. No comment, no question, no nothing. Oh wait, I do. Oh, I see it. Oh, there it is. I didn't write a message because words can't express my love for you. Well, I appreciate that, dude. I love you too. Don't worry, BJ. I saw it. Holy crap, the comments. Druid Actual says I should stream again because I'm making so much money. Oh, man. I literally just, like, I'm going to call the stream just, like, pause screen with Favyn answering your questions. Dominic Phoenix. Good night, dude. Good night, dude. Appreciate it. It's 9 o'clock. Oh, man. I'm going to try and get to the end here. The Shadow 343 says we should have claymores in Infinite. Oh, man. Oh man, that's fun. You know what I thought would be a cool idea? And it's not a claymore, but to kind of distinguish the spike grenade from the plasma grenade a little bit. Like, what if you could throw the spike grenade, have it stick to a surface, and just like hold it down? For as long as you hold it down, you could like delay the detonation. So it's not really a claymore, but you could kind of set it up. You know what I mean? Like, you could like stick it to a wall, wait for someone to come around, release the trigger, explode it. Just a little something. Other than that, it would just work like a regular spike grenade. I don't know. Maybe that would work. Maybe have to maybe throw that one in the testing. You know what I mean? If I'd lassoed any games, I think I lassoed Reach. Humphrey asked that question. I think I lassoed Reach. I know I did a couple missions, but I can't remember if I did the whole game. I know. Was that an achievement to lasso the game? Because if it was, I did do it because I had all of the base achievements for Reach. and I was only missing a couple from the multiplayer achievement pack that came out later. Eric Hollingback says, what is your opinion on a theoretical weapon that causes a stun or knockback as long as it doesn't flinch your aiming? I'm typically against that. I don't know what you're kind of referencing, right? Because in my opinion, the gravity hammer does that. If you get hit with a gravity hammer, it flings you up in the air and it kind of immobilizes you. So if that's what you're talking about, I'm okay with it if it's kind of to that extent. But just like a weapon that just like this, I don't want this in Halo, right? But like a freeze gun, right? Where it's like, oh, you just freeze people and you can blast them. I'm kind of against that. I'm kind of against weapons that or items that greatly inhibit your ability to do something. Hive says he likes the pause screen better than if I was playing. Well, I don't blame you because my play is pretty offensive. Boston Barger asks how many types of grenades I want to use. I am happy with 2 or 3. 4 is a little too much, and even though Halo 3 technically had 4 with the flame grenade, you really didn't see it ever. So most of the time it was just 3. The freaking firebomb grenade was very, very. I don't want to say it's underutilized because I'm not saying it should be utilized more, or it should have been utilized more, but it was not used a lot. Try and go back. All right. John Ramirez says you are very well spoken, articulate, and intelligent. Be blessed. I hope you enjoy the Halo Infinite campaign reveal. Thank you for the kind words, John. I already answered the playable elites question earlier. And if you think about it, and just like to very touch base on the spike grenade idea, it's like really what's more valuable, like throwing one spike grenade and holding it, and then at the same time inhibiting your ability to use your other grenades, or whatever the functionality of that spike grenade is going to be. Like there is a natural check and balance to an idea like that. Like you think, oh, that'd be kind of overpowered. It's like, yeah, but like the 5 grenades that are also in your inventory, you basically lock yourself from using those. I think that's kind of an interesting natural check and balance. It's a functional balance. That's a concept we're going to talk about pretty soon here, after we're done with the infinite stuff. Hint, hint, wink, wink. All right. Well, I think it is most responsible for me to finally end the stream. I went on for like 2 extra hours, but I definitely wanted to answer as many questions as I could, and I appreciated all the engagements, both in the viewership as well as the very generous donations that many of you offered. I will try and do this more. I had no idea that it was going to be so successful. I really wasn't expecting this kind of impromptu, no plans, no plan stream to do so well, but I am getting a little tired, getting a little hoarse, and starting to slur my words a little bit. So I am going to head out. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the generosity and the interactivity. But we're going to see each other pretty soon here. I got a new video coming out soon. and that will come out after the video discussing whatever we see on Thursday. So, appreciate it. Thank you guys. Thanks for all the, like I said, appreciate all the love. Oh. I don't have a very efficient way of ending my stream. There's got to be a better way of doing this. Anyway. How do I do it? It's not letting me. All right. There we go.